Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair. If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gills, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
You sure? It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee?
I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it.
Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the office. Welcome to my home. Welcome to the morning grind. It is good to see you this morning. This morning, I thought we would go back to 5 Torches Deep. Circle back to that one because I had mentioned to take a look at its travel situation. So this might not be all that long an episode. We'll see, but I thought it would be a good idea to return to 5 Torches Deep because I remember it's been a long time since we've looked at it. I think I remember liking it, but it's been a long time since we've looked at it on the morning grind. And we were just looking at it from the perspective of what our action resolution mechanics were. And so we're going to have to come back to it anyway. I hope you had a good weekend. My weekend was not nearly as productive as I wanted it to be. And so that means I've got to hit things extra hard today. And I tried to reset my sleep with a sleeping tablet last night, and as a result, I didn't get up. So let's see who all is here. Good morning, James. We got James. We've got Lynn. Good morning. We've got Sable. Good morning. Good to see you back, Sable. Welcome, TSL Frontman. Thank you. TSL Frontman is up on the YouTube members channel. I've got to think about the next members only stream I might play another game. And I was kicking myself because I was like, I should have gotten the dinner and board game RPG session ready to go by this weekend. But I guess let me see if I can do it by this weekend. That's a little bit lower on my priority list. But I need to do a dinner and board game RPG only stream as well for practice with that. Then maybe able to get things going. So good morning, Micah. Good morning. Maybe the War of Art we should have a discussion on too eventually. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the From Where You Dream book. I've been reading that too. I have gotten that done. I've got a bit more reading. That's going to be next week. Next week we're going to have a panel discussion on From Where You Dream. That is if I had it's right here. On this book on Table Talk, From Where You Dream by Robert Overland Butler, right here. We're going to be talking about that. It might later be interesting to do just the War of Art. So that's going to be an interesting discussion here for Table Talk. Good morning, PH. So Sable says, I see a lot of correlation between the War of Art and From Where You Dream. I'll be bringing that up. I'll see if I can refresh myself on the War of Art because I can see how there would be some correlation. Yeah. I can. Hey, let's breathe and sip. I got iced coffee this morning. Here we go. Cultist coffee this morning. Need some caffeine here. All right, so let's breathe and sip. 2 deep inhales, complete exhales, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning. Here we go. And sip. All right. Let me bring this up. So how many people do we have here who are playing Five Torches Deep? It seems pretty popular. It seems like it gets talked about quite a bit. So this is Five Torches Deep. And we are going into gameplay. So I think we looked at some of this gameplay before, like saves and checks and PC actions and all of that. But I noticed right down here, we do get into travel turns, overland travel, over water travel, rolling to return, and timekeeping. And it doesn't look like, that's why I was like, this may be a shorter episode because it doesn't look like there are too many pages on that. But then again, depending on what you need, you may not need a whole lot. So let's go down and take a look at travel turns. I was just looking at treasure because, hey, treasure is on the same page. Why not take a look at treasure? As gold's the primary source of XP, PCs are expected to be able to acquire treasure. All coins have the same weight. There are 100 coins per pound and 500 coins per load. Gold and precious metals are a source of magic power. As enemies carried loot is worth 1d20 GP per HD. This is separate from any hoards, chests, piles, altars, etc. But you've got to be able to get these back. So I wonder, it's been a while since we've looked at this, but we did say, is it enough to just acquire the treasure or do you have to get it back to a safe location? So weight and travel might be important there. Good morning, Trey. Yeah, Five Torches Deep, Trey says, is very much streamlined 5e with an OSR mindset. So captured magic items grant XP to the PCs equal to their fair value. If the magic item is later sold, the gold earned for that item is not counted toward the PC's XP. Inherited or unearned treasure doesn't grant XP. Okay, let's take a look at what treasure turns are. Not treasure turns, travel turns. A travel turn occurs every hour of in-game time. Travel turns are used to track torches, distance, and encounters. Torches typically last an hour, lanterns 3 hours. As a rule of thumb, the GM can count every 3 to 4 scenes, rooms, or encounters in a dungeon as 1 hour, or as 1 travel turn. Okay, I was kind of thinking this was going to be, when we're talking about travel turn, we're going to see overland stuff here. I think it did say overland travel next. But it's even talking about, okay, a travel turn is something that occurs during even within dungeons. The DM rolls 1d20 on the table below for each travel turn. The GM can roll with advantage, better for the party if the PCs are being cautious, or at disadvantage, or which is worse for the party if they're not. The GM is encouraged. The GM is encouraged to be creative and logical, tying the threats that pertain to area, quest, or dungeon. So this is the travel turn table. That seems like a lot of rolling if you're going to be doing overland stuff. But the angry GM had a lot of rolling too, 6 rolls a day. But that doesn't necessarily mean that every one of those is going to be a fight. He was very clear on that. Travel turn table. 1. Terrible immediate threat. Accidental encounter, devastating ambush, environment worsens. This is on a D20, remember. 2 to 10, something bad happens soon. A subtle trap or poison, cautious enemies prep to attack at any moment. Retainer flees or betrays. 11 through 19, threat worsens or draws near. A distant threat evolves. Environment gradually escalates to hostility. A new potential threat arrives, suspicious. 20, nothing bad, maybe even good. So those all do seem rather negative. So terrible immediate threat, something to go bad very soon, or a threat worsens. So it does only get worse the longer you travel. It's only getting worse the longer you travel. And that's every hour. That's a roll every hour. So there was no, 20 is nothing. That's a low chance of nothing. Please be sure to check out 40 to 45. This game does something unique. Okay. All right. This is overland travel. Okay. And there is not a lot in here. Okay. Overland travel. Unencumbered PCs can comfortably travel 10 plus strength modifier miles per day. Difficult terrain halves this. Harsh terrain quarters it. For example, a +2 strength modifier PC can travel 12 miles in open terrain, 6 miles in difficult terrain, or 3 miles in harsh terrain. Dim light counts as difficult terrain, darkness as harsh terrain. All encumbered PCs move at half speed. The party moves at the slowest PC's pace if they plan to stick together. Moving tactically reduces speed by 1/4, stealthily reduces by half. Harsh weather, snow, or heat is treated as difficult or harsh terrain. Travel turns can be rolled daily rather than hourly. Okay, so we do have travel turns, but roll travel turns daily rather than hourly while the party travels overland. Torches and SUP reduce hourly as normal. 12 plus strength modifier plus day per day. Does that strike anybody else as a little bit slow? So yeah, if you're +2 strength, you can move 12 miles in a day. Maybe, when I'm just out there walking, it takes about, I can walk 3 miles an hour at a pretty leisurely pace. So about take 20-minute mile at just a walk pace. But I wonder how long I could keep that up. I keep wanting to try that. I keep wanting to try to do a loadout and go at my current state right here. How long would it take me to, or how many days or hours could I keep up a certain pace? I've been trying to, I need to make room for that. Maybe one day I need to schedule that. But I typically walk at that pace, but does that mean that I can walk at that pace for how long? That would mean that a day of travel would be, that'd be 4 hours if I were walking it, because that's along a road, so that's along easy terrain. I'm not trying to cross a mountain or something like that, just on a road. So I would say pretty easy terrain. Not in dim light or anything like that, and certainly not trying to walk through the snow. Could I walk for 8 hours at that certain pace? That would be interesting to know. I would kind of be curious to know. if I had a pack, it's the encumbered. An encumbered PC moves at half speed. So I'm not sure what the let's see. Because we know that from the 5E is pretty easy. It is pretty easy on the encumbrance. But I don't know if it's changed that here. Let's see here. Let's see if we can just find it. I don't think I've ever, or I don't remember seeing the 5 torches deep character sheet. This may be before we looked at character sheet. That's got a very interesting look to it. And look, a load. Okay, so this is doing this with the max with the load. Okay, so load. Max load is equal to your strength score. Armor light is 2, heavy is 5, shield is 1. Weapon one-handed is 1, two-handed is 2. So this is doing more abstract encumbrance. Coins 500 of any kind is 1 load. Weight 5 pounds or 1 human head size per 1 load. Gear is mostly 1 to 3 load, GM's discretion. And then sup, that's your supply. Rounded nearest 5, 1 load. Encumbered, over max load. Negative 5 feet speed per 1 load over. Disadvantage all checks. 0 can't move. So if you're encumbered, you're over your max load. So that seems like a flat thing. So you're either under it or you're over it. And so your strength score is your max load. So you might, that strength score plus 2 person would be moving 12 hours a day. But if they've got 13 load, then they're moving 6 miles a day. That does seem slow. "12 miles with full gear." Sounds like they did some investigation. Maybe military, maybe check runs with rucksacks. No, you got to do loadout too. Right, I know. So if you're encumbered, you're going to go down to 6 miles per hour. But we're talking, it's going to be difficult to come up with it's going to be difficult to come up with an exact equivalent here. What kind of loadout? How much weight? Okay, so good. Ryan says Bob the World Builder channel actually did that. Oh yeah, I think maybe I don't think I watched that, but I think I did see something like that. If I try it, I might have to do like a video of it too to put out as a video. Trey says, yeah, good call. I forgot about his great videos on rations and movement speed in games. So Micah says the U.S. Army has 3 hours for 12 miles with full gear, but they're not expected to do that twice in a day usually, at least not without vehicles. And then Trey says they would also need to go slower if they want to have strength to fight encounters. Well, maybe it's not slow. Maybe it's not slow. That seems slow. Like when I was reading what the Angry GM was writing, I didn't particularly think, I didn't go, oh, that seems slow. But this just seemed rather slow. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. So that's how we're handling encumbrance. So we know if you're over your strength score in a number of objects, then you are encumbered and moving at half speed. So over water travel says a boat on smooth water travels 3 miles an hour or roughly 30 miles per day. A ship traveling on the sea moves 5 miles an hour or up to 100 miles per full day and night. Moving in an unfavorable wind or current halves the speed. Moving with a favorable wind or current doubles it. If the GM can be more nuanced, the GM can be more nuanced with speed if desired. Travel turns can be rolled daily while on a river or a lake or weekly if at sea. Torches and sup reduced hourly as normal. Rolling to return. So if there's insufficient time to role play the party's return to a safe camp, scene by scene, the GM can have each player roll to return. This roll is a check, with each PC rolling a modifier equal to their highest modifier, including proficiency. So this roll is a check with each PC rolling with a modifier equal to their highest modifier, including proficiency. The GM decides if this path is dangerous or arduous. DC equals 10 plus 1 travel turn, max DC 20. Success means the PC returned to safety without issue. Failure has a cost as described below, depending on the nature of the path. Dangerous, D6 damage per 1 under DC. Arduous, lose 1 load of equipment per 1 under the DC. So we're talking about travel turns here. It says DC, the DC is 10 plus 1 per travel turn. But I'm supposing, like, since we're talking about overland travel here, it says travel turns can be rolled daily rather than hourly when the party travels overland. So when this says DC 10 plus 1 per travel turn, I'm guessing that means on an overland travel, you're talking about the number of days that you've got to travel. So if you're out and it's going to take you 3 days back, then you've got to make a DC 16 check. Success means you return to safety without issue. Failure has a cost as described below, depending on the nature of the path. Disastrous, D6 damage per 1 under the DC. Now that's dangerous. Arduous, lose 1 load of equipment per 1 under the DC. If the PC is reduced to 0 HP, they die or are left unconscious. This damage ignores armor and cannot be healed or avoided. The GM picks up whatever load is dropped, starting with less valuable and less secure items and working up toward weapons and armor. So you might lose the gold. A party with 2 surviving PCs must roll to return. They are 4 hours away from base. Oh, so in this case, we're talking about hours. They are 4 hours away from base, DC 14. The PC has a +6. Yeah, this was best modifier. This needs to make a roll for a check with each PC rolling with a modifier equal to their highest modifier, including proficiency. I wonder if that's ability score modifiers. But anyway, it says your best one, including proficiency. So the PC has a +6 best mod, and the other one has a +5. The first rolls a 17 and makes it back safely. Wait, DC 14. Okay, so 17, yes, made it back safely. The second one rolls a 12, natural 7 + 5. Since the path is arduous, the GM causes the second PC to drop 2 load, a purse of coins, and a treasured crystal skull. See, we need to think about how much time does it take to get back. Time as in play time. Again, if we're thinking about a 30-minute, a 3-hour adventure, 3-hour play session, you've got to leave home, get to the adventure site, adventure at the adventure site, and then return home. How long does it need to take in order to adjudicate the return home? $10 minutes, 15 minutes. If you spend 30 minutes getting there and you want to spend 15 minutes getting back, then you've got 2 hours and 15 minutes for the actual adventure at the location. Timekeeping, let's say this. The GM is responsible for keeping track of time while the party is out adventuring. Many effects have specific durations, and the day is constantly changing depending on the amount of time passed. The GM can use multiple time dice to denote the time of day. Each time die is D6, with its face turned to represent the hour. This is useful for counting durations, infections, and travel turns. As the adventuring day moves forward, the GM uses up to 4d6 turned to represent the hour of the day. For instance, 6-1 is 7 o'clock, while 6662 is 20. Why can't I say that all of a sudden? That would be what, 8 o'clock? Each dime die Each time die represents 1/4 of the day and 6 hours of time. Pre-dawn, morning, afternoon, and night. Each die, so I thought they were going someplace like the Angry GM's time dice, but this is a bit different. So this is just telling the game master they need to be tracking time directly. The Angry GM system was a bit more abstract than that. The GM can roll 1 to 4 times dice, 1 to 4 time dice. Okay. The GM can roll 1 to 4 time dice to randomly determine the hour of day or the duration of an effect. For more dice, the later it is. The GM can instead set a starting hour and roll 1 or 2 time dice to determine the specific effects. The party emerges from a portal. The GM rolls 2d6 to determine the current time of day on this plane. 3-2. It's 5 o'clock in the morning or in the pre-dawn quarter. The GM sets 1 time die out to say 5. As the party adventures, an hour passes, the GM rolls for a travel turn and then rotates the time die to 6. As the party fights new battles, the GM thinks another hour has passed and rolls for another travel turn. The GM brings out the second time die, another d6, and sets it to 1 or 700 hours or 7 o'clock in the morning. 0700. Hey, Zero the Blade, welcome. 7 months. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support, Zero the Blade. 7-month member. Thank you. Now there has been less actually in this book than I was thinking. Although this is probably the first time I have seen something like this. There isn't a lot here that's being codified, but I think that's the first time that I've seen that specifically written out. Like we need some type of way to roll to return to get back home safely that doesn't involve doing the journey all the way back. And again, in this case, I'm thinking it in a West Marches kind of style game. In something like the One Ring, there's no guarantee that you're going to be headed back to your safe location. After you go to one location, you could be headed out to the next location. It's going to be deep and dark again. Hey, let's go down to see what Trey was talking about. So that was basically it, though. So that was rather light. I mean, which is not necessarily timekeeping. What was next? Light. Okay, there are rules for some chases in here. Light, retreat, resistance, and exhaustion. Corruptions. Trey was telling us to go down to page 44 and 45. Generator. Am I on the right one? Let me make sure that was what you were talking about, Trey. Please be sure to check out pages 44 to 45. This game does something unique. Okay, so this is page 44, the generator here. So GMs can use these inspiration tables as an adventure or landmark generator. Okay, sounds like something we might need. Roll D12 for each column on the connections table in order. Thing, action, thing, fallout. This creates a threat or entity that wishes to act upon another entity. If successful fallout occurs, a warlord wants to seal a deity which causes growth. The GM can assign descriptors to each element. The descriptor table has abstract words that are meant only to fuel the GM's thought process in creating the adventure. So the connections table, you roll thing, action, thing, fallout. And then roll 1d20 one or more times for each element in the connections table, such as putrefied, dancing, lodestone, remorseful, pulsing, warlord from the previous example. So you could say a monster wants to move a kingdom, which causes isolation. A monster wants to move a kingdom, which causes isolation. And then you roll D20 for each element. So I don't know. So a dominating monster wants to move a collapsing kingdom to wants to move a collapsing so wait, move was the action. Nope, wants to move was supposed to be the action. wants to move a collapsing kingdom, and it's causing, what do we say, isolation. So maybe move under emotion, and that's causing remorseful isolation. Hey, Don. Welcome, Don. Don says, I made it. I've been enjoying this topic and all the options. Hail to the chat. Trey says, yes, Professor DM has a great review of this game. Don says, 5 Torches Deep was my go-to crawler before Shadow Dark. 5 Torches Deep is a solid rules light system, and it works. So random maps. There's not a lot on any particular subject here. I guess just enough. So, okay, so random maps here. GMs can generate a dungeon, city block, or wilderness map by using a common puzzle cube. 6 colors. Oh, so like a Rubik's Cube? That looks like what that is down here. So you can generate a dungeon, city block, or wilderness map by using a common puzzle cube. 6 colors, 9 squares per side. Scramble the cube and roll it like a d6. The top face of the cube is the result for the map. Each colored square on the result face is the type of terrain, obstacle, or location. Each is commonly enclosed or has a distinct border. So white becomes an open path, entrance, or clearing. Blue becomes alternative path, water, ascent. Green is a key destination, such as treasure. Yellow becomes a passive threat, hazard, or terrain. Orange is danger, enemy, convergences. Or red is blocked or locked, can't travel by any normal means, door, wall, etc. Note, if you don't have a 6-sided puzzle cube, you can roll 9d6 and convert each die's result and placement per the listed colors above. So you can roll 9d6, and then put them together in a cube somewhat randomly. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You don't have the colors, but you got the numbers. The GM must apply these guidelines to the concept and contents of their dungeon. An ancient tomb will have different landmarks and threats than a natural cave. The cube can be rolled many times, adding the results together like a quilt, rearranging as needed. So the GM needs to quickly and randomly map a dungeon for tonight's session. The GM jots down a few high-level ideas. A concept, a collapsed necropolis accidentally found by miners. Let's see. Lynn says, these sorts of random tables can be great for kickstarting your brain when you're the GM and you have to come up with something and your mind is blank. Random tables, it's an amazing tool. Yeah, it is an amazing tool for GMs. Well, it seems like a lot of people have really liked those lately, and especially that was a big draw of Knave, right? The new Knave that was going to have a lot of new random tables for the Game Master. Seemed like it to me. A lot of people like those. Well, and of course, the Mork Borg and all of its different incarnations, whether that's Pirate Borg or Cyborg. They do a lot with random tables. So let's see. The Game Master rolls down concept has collapsed necropolis accidentally found by miners. Contents: natural vein of copper, the exterior mine entrance, the miners who converted it into undead guardians, and the tomb itself. The GM scrambles and rolls a puzzle cube, getting the results on the left. So here is our puzzle cube results. Starting on the top left as northwest and working clockwise, the GM is able to map out the general contents of this undiscovered tomb. I'm trying to understand this map over here. I think I've got it now. You're coming in north. So here's north, so an entrance, And then also the southwest is an entrance. So you're kind of looking across a cross section of what's going on inside this underground. So northwest green, this is the heart of the tomb itself. Northwest right there. Difficult to reach. North white, the main entrance. Northeast yellow is precarious tunnels upset by the mining fragile columns. West is blue right here. Here is west blue, a deep pit, the only way to access the hidden tomb in the northwest. You got to go through this deep pit to get to the northwest. Center green right here, the mine itself with exposed copper and crystals. East red, rough stone walls blocked. Southwest white. Southwest. So right here, white. An exit outside accessed by the descent in west. South red. A locked mine compound now full of dead and undead. And then southeast right over here, orange, an ancient tomb sentinel is turning the miners it killed into undead ghouls to help its deity. So orange was, for instance, danger enemy convergences. So that's southeast. So we got the center right here, which was green. Yeah, green. Key destination or treasure, and then also key destination or treasure up here. Huh, interesting. Yeah, and all the positions match the face of the cube. Right, exactly. So that's what I was looking at. So this right here, the colors down here is how they mapped to that. Because we've been thinking a lot about the different ways to randomly generate different kinds of dungeons. Or design, whether it's random generation or whether it's more deliberate generation. We've been thinking quite a bit about that. And especially like, how do you do a dungeon that can be completed in 2 hours? 2 to 3 hours is a Hero Quest dungeon. What else should we look at in this book? Here is our character sheet. So we got strength, dex, con, int, wisdom, character, charisma, perception, supply, morale. The people who have played Five Torches Deep, is there something else that we've got a little bit more time here? I realized when it was only a few pages long, these elements of this game, that this might be a bit shorter. So if there's something else in this game that we should definitely look at, let me know. I'll go back up the table of contents. Let's see. So running the game master framework preparation principles. We could go take a look at that. Monster make finding the page. Wait. Monster making. Inner Light says this was my go-to before Blades in. No wait, BTA. So a lot of people like this before other things came out. That's what Don was saying. Let's go down to running the game. Each session starts, let's look at preparation here. Each session starts with one or more dramatic situations that demand the party's immediate involvement. The GM defines the below elements for each session. Incitement, the hook, the first threat, the thing that breaks the ice and gets the players in the mindset of their characters. A quick scene with a few checks, a weak combat encounter, or something thought-provoking that makes them pay attention and leads them deeper into the session's content. Fork. Once they've crossed the threshold, the party should be given an obvious fork in the road, a time-sensitive choice. That's how time comes up again. Once they have crossed the threshold, the party should be given an obvious fork in the road, a time-sensitive choice that compels them to go down one potentially irreversible path. Do they join the lawless rebels or the cruel knights? Do they take the slow and safe path or the dangerous one? Obstacles, one or more passive blocks, an environment or external impediment that makes their goal more difficult to achieve, weather, terrain, time, resources, etc. Threats, who's directly opposing the party's goals? The active threats that will violently pursue or reject the PCs. What do they want? When and how do they strike? Climax and resolution. Buy this axe. Oh, buy this axe. Yes, yes. Buy this axe. We went through a lot of those. Buy this axe I hack. The different sword hacks. Oh, monster making page 38. Okay, we'll go there next. Climax and resolution. How can the system dovetail to satisfying conclusion? What's the final confrontation or challenge the PCs must overcome that leads to the gold? Importantly, what happens if the party doesn't achieve this end? The players, if not their characters, should see the impacts of their efforts or failures. The GM has the idea of using a recently deceased Titan and its scavengers as a set piece for this week's adventure. Incitement. The PCs will observe a dark cloud in the distance. As they travel, the cloud approaches. First, the sound of buzzing, and then the swarm of usually harmless flies. The flies clearly follow a path of stench toward the lake. Fork. Following the flies to the lake reveals the corpse of a Titan, a behemoth creature valuable in harvest and magical components. Several small camps are forming at the lake's banks. One camp has fewer than a dozen and emits noxious clouds of fulvous yellow smoke into the air. Another camp clear cuts a swath of forest and builds boats and barracks with militant precision. A third camp is less noticeable, more a set of small stone structures for interconnected tunnels, too small for even halflings to fit through. Obstacles, the flies, the intense fumes of the corpse, the dozens of other scavengers and beasts that come to feast. Threats, will the PCs side with one of the three factions? Will they try to cut their own path? Others might view them as interlopers deserving death. Climax, the PCs discovered what caused the Titan to get stuck and drown in the lake. A force of great magical gravity the locals call the Heavy. Can they dispel it and free the giant body? Okay, let me go up to the monster. Let me go up to monster making. Let's see, principles on page 38. Oh, right here. Building monsters. Okay, building a monster is done in 3 steps. Concept, a sentence or phrase. Threat, its HD and danger level. Category, what the monster category is. Techniques, if any, which if any. Monster math, HP, AC, mods, etc. Concept, what is the monster's function, description, and theme? What should the party feel when seeing it, entering its lair, fighting it? The concept is an important aspect of creating a monster as it defines all the later steps. Define it in prose or a simple bulleted list. Threat. The threat consists of HD and a description of the monster's level of danger. A GM can fully or partially randomize a monster's HD. Fully random. Roll 1d20, an HD equal to the result 2, a natural result of 1 is a quarter HD. Roll d20 with HD result equal to the result minus 2. A natural result of 1 is 1/4 HD, and 2 is 1/2 HD. See the monster math table. Partially random. Determine how similar the monster is to the party's level. Close is 1d6, medium is 2d6, far is 3d6. Roll and sum the dice pool twice, subtracting the second number from the first. The remaining numbers then apply to the PC's average level. So, for instance, the GM rolls for a medium monster, 2d6, getting a 9, which is a 3 and a 6, and a 5, a 1 and a 4. 9 minus 4 is 4, and the GM adds 4 to the party's average level of 3. The monster becomes 7 HD. Category. Refer back to the monster's concept. Is this a natural beast or a predator, an intelligent or capable leader, or simply a brute or some member of a larger organized unit? Simply assign the most fitting category or roll d6 for a brute, leader, predator, shaper, sniper, or soldier. Techniques. If the GM is going through the trouble of building a monster from scratch, it's likely important and therefore warrants at least one technique. GMs note that each added technique notably increases lethality. By default, a single technique is enough to differentiate a monster without making it more threatening than intended. Always adhere to what's interesting rather than what's balanced. The players figured out. Monster math. Refer to the monster math table on page 35 to determine your creation's relevant modifiers, AC, HP, and average damage. Use the original concept in the monster category to determine what type of actions or events are considered weak or strong mods. These actions to be immediately clear and useful to the GM, requiring as little time as possible to note when the mod applies. Concept: an ethereal dragon made up of magically united smoke and energy, on the hunt for tasty living souls. Threat: the GM refers to the hex that this dragon resides in and decides that it should be threatening, 10 HD. Category: the GM can't decide which category makes the most sense, and so rolls getting 5, sniper. This changes the way the dragon can fight its prey. Techniques: to get this concept across, the GM needs a few techniques: a misty breath, blast 50 feet, 5d6, move like smoke, special movement, and in incorporeal form, immunity to non-magical damage. Monster math: 41 HP, +3, +7, +12. I guess that's 3 attacks. All as a sniper and a smoke dragon, it'll gain the +12 bonus to perception and ranged attacks, but only +3 to keep the PCs away from it in melee, or to resist their ability to force morale checks. If it must use an attack out of its breath weapon, it still packs a punch at 3d8 +2. Let's take a look at monster math on page 35. This is it. Yeah, this is the monster math table. Monsters are broken into categories based on Monsters are broken into categories based on their behavior and role. A monster in any category can have any HD. Special techniques can be added to any monster to make it more difficult and interesting. Each category has a description with actions and abilities the monster is good or bad at. Monsters gain a check modifier to those actions per the below formula. Monster check modifiers: weak, rarely attempted actions, normal, as good as you'd expect, strong, the monster excels at this, or okay, AC. So wait, each category has a description with actions and abilities the monster is either good or bad at. Monsters gain a check modifier to those actions per the below formulas. So if a monster should be bad at doing something, then its modifier would be half of its HD -2 max of +8. So a 5 HD monster has a +0 check modifier. 1/2 of 5 is equal to 2. 2 minus 0 is equal to 0 for things that monster should be bad at. If the monster should be normally good at something, then you would expect them to have a modifier of 1/2 HD +2 for a max of +10 at that. So a 5 HD monster has a +4 check modifier. 1/2 of 5 equals 2. 2 + 2 equals 4. Whereas if the monster is really good at something, then it should be HD, just your HD modifier +2. So a 5 HD monster has a +7 check modifier for things it's good at. Am I understanding that right? I think I am. For your AC or the dex, add +10 to the best suitable modifier. Assume unlisted actions or abilities have a normal modifier for that monster. So this is our monster math table over here. So here we're looking at our HD. That's our hit dice. And then this should tell you our average HP. Tables like this are very useful to me, because like when I was writing the Ravivania creatures, coming up with some easy way to get the math right was good. James says, how good are you at climbing knotted ropes? Oh, normally good at that. Yes. Weak modifier. So your weak mod would be negative. Here's in this column. Your normal modifier would be this over here, your strong modifier. So you don't have to go through this math. This is telling you where this math is going. So over here on the monster math table, it's telling you what that is. And then your average damage. Now, so monsters that have multiple dice worth of average damage can split that damage up across multiple targets, such as by multiple attacks, aura effects, counterattacks, and so forth. Okay, that's exactly what I was about to ask. Because when I was looking at the monster manual on the back of a business card, sometimes the average damage was high, but that's because you could have multiple attacks. So that's the case here. This is all of the attacks put into one. So if you've got a creature with 9 hit dice, they're doing 3d8 plus 1 damage. That could either be one attack that's 3d8 plus 1 on average, or divide that up into multiple attacks. Am I freezing? Really? I'm okay. I see. It looks like, to me, it looks like I'm broadcasting well. So I see Inner Light and Sable Phoenix both said there's something going on. For some reason, it says the strength of the signal is a bit low. I have actually, I just realized the other day there may be a way to upgrade the internet. They may have just offered an internet upgrade in my area. I've got to investigate that more. But it may be the case that I can upgrade my internet here, which if I can do that now, finally, that would be absolutely great. So actually, Lynn asked, how does 5 Torches Deep handle magic? I'm not familiar with the system despite strong 5e vibe. And Inner Light says it is roll to cast. We got a few more minutes here. Lynn asks if it's the same base spells as D&D. Inner Light says, very simple spell system. I actually adopted the spells for sword and 6-siders since I liked it much better. There's 6 levels of spells, 6 spells in each level, divine spell list and arcane spell list. So 36 spells for each arcane divine. Though there may be crossover, I don't remember at the moment. Let's take a look at that. Let's see what's going on with magic here. We got a few more minutes. So magic. Zealots and mages gain spell casting, which allows them to cast spells per the arcane and divine spell list on page 30. Casting a spell requires a spell casting check, at least one free hand, and some components. Spells are more or less powerful, noted by spell level. Casting a spell generally requires an active action. Each spell in the spell list defines its requirement, duration, and similar. So spell casting check. So this is, as Inner Light was saying, a roll to cast system. Spells require a spell casting check with a DC equals 10 plus spells level. Failure triggers a mishap with unintended consequences, and the spellcaster can't attempt spells of that spell level again until they take a safe rest. The GM can require a 1d20 roll on the magical mishap table, or simply describe what malady the PC suffers. The result of the spellcasting check is used to determine the success of the targeted spell, comparing the result of the target's defense. For example, 10 plus the target's relevant modifier. In this way, a spellcasting check is both to see if the PC can cast successfully and hit the target. Okay, so we're rolling once and to see whether they can cast the spell and also hit the target. So, for example, a level 4 Zealot PC attempts to cast Impassable, which is a level 2 divine spell. They roll plus Wisdom modifier and Prof versus DC. Oh, and proficiency, I guess. Wisdom modifier plus proficiency versus a DC 12, getting a 14 and successfully casting the spell. The 14 is compared versus the target's 1 HD goblins with +1 relevant modifier or 11 defense to resist the spell. The goblins fail and their speed is reduced to 0. Spellcasting PCs know a number of spells based on the PC's and spell level. Known spells can be cast by the spellcaster. So this is PC level over here, and this is the spell levels known. So we do have 1 first level spell over here, pretty classic. Then 2 first level spells, 3 and 1. The columns relate to the spell level, while the rows are class level. A 4th level caster would know 4 first level spells and 2 second level spells. Cantrips. Spellcasting PCs know and can cast 3 cantrips. These are rote, simple, relatively weak spells the PC has mastered. They require no spellcasting check or components and can always be used. The listed cantrips is beneath each spell list on page 30. Spellcasters can cast any known spell as a rite. This takes 1 hour per spell level of concentration, but does not require a check. Concentration. Some spells last as long as concentration is held. Only 1 spell can be concentrated on at a time. Taking damage, making checks, or other distracting tasks break concentration. I hate that we're having trouble with the stream today. I'm not sure why we have, it says unstable connection. The connection is currently unstable. I'm not sure. There appears nothing on my end. Maybe I just need to look into possibly the new internet upgrade. We will see. That would be fantastic if finally out here that we have a way to get better internet. I'm glad that we had the kind of internet that we do out here, because if we didn't have this, I would not be able to do it. I lived for a long time in a place when I was working on that tiny house in my grandparents' house. They had terrible internet. That was the worst internet that I I had ever lived in a place, and it was so difficult that I couldn't upload videos. I had to go to Starbucks to upload videos and things like that. If that were the case, if that were the country internet where I was, where I am now, this would not even be happening. But maybe I can get something even better. We will see. Preparing spells. Spells in Five Torches Deep can't be prepared as in other similar systems. There's no need for the PC caster to determine which spells they plan to cast each day in advance. But a caster can hold an action to cast a spell in an ambush. So, okay, so here's the spell lists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, cantrips. First level spells. Arcane spell list. Charm, sleep, arcane arrow, discern magic, abjure. So this is then divine spell list. Cantrips over here. First level, second level, fourth level. Okay, so I guess in keeping with this type of the style of game Five Torches Deep is, the spell lists are short and to the point. So first level spells can do things like once you one creature in 30 feet obeys you, attack, concentration. Sleep, 2 HD level worth of targets in 30 feet fall asleep, attack 8 hours. Gust of force, enemies in 15-foot cone knocked back 10 feet and prone, attack. So that's the way spell casting is done here. So components, potions, magic potions, and other consumables are highly encouraged and don't count toward wielding magical item limit. Magic focuses such as orbs or staves act as magical weapons, potentially providing a check modifier or other benefits. All focuses remove the need for spell components and a free hand to successfully cast the spell. Focuses can be arcane or divine. Well, that's possible. Robert says, make sure I have no tabs. Have an ad running in a website RAM killer. Well, that could be a situation. I got tons of tabs open. That could be the case. Let's see. Sable says, this is super useful. I wish all OSR games had a section just like this. Yeah, this one seems to be very popular. So I'm glad. Retainers. I mean, so this one, I can see why this one was so popular, because they've got a bunch. I mean, they cover a lot in a little amount of space. They cover a lot in a little bit amount of space. Every time I look at it, it seems like when I go to a different section, it's like, well, there's not a whole lot here, but it covers a lot in a little amount of space. So that seems to work. Let's see. Any other thing? So the other thing that, if you're not familiar with this one did differently, is something about equipment and load. So you've got basically, it's kind of like slots. You're not dealing with things pound by pound. You're talking about weapon load. Like, for instance, one-handed or one load, two-handed or two load. Load counts when wielded or stowed. So each item the size of a human head or 5 pounds is considered one load. the size of a human head. PCs are capable to carry a load equal to their strength score. But the supply, okay, supply, this is it. Now, we did look at this before, but we got a couple of minutes here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this again if you're not familiar with this system already. Yeah, I looked at that in a previous video. We'll do a quick refresher on it. So load, supply, each PC has a supply up to their intelligence score. This is how much resupply the PC brought and represents their ability to plan ahead with what they might need to bring. You lose some supply each time you replenish an expendable item like a torch. You regain supply by succeeding at a check to forage or cannibalize an item. You can buy supply in a town or tavern, usually 1 gold piece per supply. Supply can't create new things, so that's not an int, that's up to int level. Your supply is capped at your intelligence. Supply can't create new things while adventuring. Supply can only replenish or replace the spent, consumed, or lost. Supply only works for items the PC stated were brought prior to the adventure, start of the adventure, not serve as quantum equipment. And that did kind of surprise me because I thought they were going to go so abstract that we're headed into like Blades in the Dark situation. But this is less abstract than that. So you have to say that you brought it, but you can resupply yourself once you've said that you brought it. The GM has the final say on how much supply something costs, keeping in mind its rarity, value, and size. An antitoxin is small, but because of its specificity, it has a high sup. Once a PC has insufficient supply to replenish their choice of item, they can no longer use that item. Reaching 1 supply prevents the PC from replenishing any consumable gear. A PC can choose to carry less than their maximum supply prior to living on a quest. 5 supply is 1 load. Supply is rounded to the nearest 5 per load. Supply cannot be split among the party. Supply can be split among the party, so as long as no one exceeds their max. And then here are examples of supply by gear. So what are you supplying with yourself? Arrows, torches, rations, parchment, lockpicking, lantern oil, rope, nails, and pythons. Healing kit, smith's kit, spell components, potion, weak, potion strong, antitoxin or poison, quicksilver, holy water, alchemical grenades, dragon breath bombs. So we're also have a specification here for exactly what your supply can be spent on, which isn't a whole list, a long list. So if you realize, okay, I'm taking the following things: arrows, torches, rations. This is a small list to look through to say this is what I'm taking. Like maybe you can even make some checks or something on a character sheet if these were listed on a character sheet. What is it that I've got? And these are the things that supply can help out with. A PC can spend an hour in a fertile region and forage 1 supply without making a check. A check produces more forage worth 1 supply per rolled result over DC 11. So for instance, a PC is carrying arrows, torches, and rations in their backpack. They decide to carry 12 supply on their adventure. While out on their quest, the PC fights several battles and is out of arrows. The PC spends 5 supply toward 50 arrows, and the PC only has 7 supply remaining. Later, the PC's party is out of torches and other light sources. Since this PC decided to bring along torches, they spend another 5 supply to replenish the party's cache. Now 2 supply remaining. Finally, the PCs try to spend some supply toward replenishing rope. However, the GM notes the PCs didn't bring any rope, so they can't use supply toward any more or new rope. Instead, the PCs only spend their remaining supply toward arrows, torches, and rations. Eventually, the PC is completely out of supply. When they fire their last arrow, burn their last torch, or eat their last ration, the PC won't be able to replenish any sort of consumable equipment until they refill their supply. Oh, I remember talking about hammer space. All right. Well, since we got an unstable connection today anyway, we've been going for about an hour, and we checked out the important parts, I thought, for 5 torches deep anyway. So I think we're going to get out of here. I'm going to try to get more work done and actually be productive today. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. I hope you are constructive. I hope you are creative. I hope you get a lot done. I will see everybody tomorrow. Later.